We say what they can't radio.
Good night. This is Shosheta Kepra, the intimacy junkie, and welcome to SoulShare. It's a different type of conversation that's centered around love, intimacy, vulnerability, and emotional intelligence. Tonight, I have a full panel of guests who's here to have this conversation with me, and I'm going to let everybody start to introduce themselves, starting with my left.
Damion Knight.
Tony Wiggins.
Stephanie Williams.
And there's another guest that's on their way late, Jen, and she'll be joining us a little bit later on in the show. So we're going to get right into it. And we're going to discuss the 5 components of emotional intelligence. Okay? So that would be self-awareness, which is having an understanding of who you are, how you feel, being able to identify when you are operating from ego versus spirit, your awareness of emotions, motivation, commitment to your own emotional and mental, spiritual health, so that you can have a better partnership or attract someone with the same focus. Self-regulation, which is the ability to not respond emotionally and exercise patience and having self-control. Then there's empathy, having enough concern about the person to take time to learn them and their personal journey to be able to exercise patience with them. And social skills, which is developing conflict resolution skills, learning how to face your challenges minus ego and emotions, and addressing them in ways that nurture your spirit and not be destructive. Okay? Cool. So, the first question that I'm going to ask, and which is a very good question, and it's been circulating around the internet about being a first date question. So I'm going to ask all of you guys this question to see if you can answer it. How aware are you of your traumas and suppressed emotions? And how are you actively working to heal them?
Oh, y'all looking at me?
I don't know. You go for it.
Well, I'm very aware because anything from a past relationship, especially if it, I believe that with all relationships, we have a level of traumatic, and some are higher than others. Mm-hmm. And, if we don't address them, we usually take them with us throughout our relationships. For me personally, I am very aware of that, of, whatever things that transpired in past relationships. And I guess that's probably why I'm not currently dating, because I'm still working on self, because I don't want to take anything that I experienced and drop it into something new.
Like what? Give an example.
Well, I know from past relationships, trust issues.
Why?
Why were there trust issues? Because the individual or individuals weren't trustworthy. They were, a lot of lying. There was infidelities and things like that. So that brings about trust issues.
Well, I feel like if you love somebody, you should lie to them. Shouldn't tell them.
People say that, and I think that's just a load of bullshit, because it's because that's that thing. Well, I lie to you because I love you.
Yes,
I don't want to hurt you.
Yes, it
But
works.
at the end of the day, lies do come up eventually. It might not come up now. It might come out later on down the line, and that pain is still going to be that pain. I feel if you love me, tell me the truth. Don't lie to me.
But you're gonna leave me.
Maybe not. You never know. You can't think for me and you.
Oh, I'm thinking for the masses that have left.
Well, but that's that's okay. So say if we were in something, right?
Right.
Okay. You can't think for me because of what happened in your past relationship. That's like I can't think for you what happened in my past relationship.
But I'm going off of laws of average. I'm going off of what I've seen in relationships. I'm going off of what I've seen maybe my parents have gone through. I'm going off of what I see grandparents. I'm going off of uncles. I'm going off of friends.
But that's not us.
So why don't you go after what's going on with you?
Right.
Make this about you. So
because the average person reacts averagely.
And
so
would you really prefer someone to lie to you?
Yes, what I don't know can't hurt me. I mean, somebody got to explain. If I don't know, how can it hurt me?
Okay, so you just don't ask questions.
I don't intervene. Like, say my wife, she's texting, 12 o'clock at night. She's on the couch, she's giggling. I'm upstairs, I get up, she's giggling. As far as I'm concerned, she's downstairs cheating. Like,
So
I don't
you
know
wait.
what
How
she's
do you
downstairs.
how did you get from giggling to cheating out?
Because you shouldn't
connect those dots
I
for
don't
me.
think that she should have been on no phone at 12 o'clock at night doing anything. She should have probably been in the bed sleep.
She could just be scrolling through Instagram and saw a video of funny kittens. I don't understand how we get from giggling to cheating.
She is a grown ass woman.
See?
12 o'clock.
Exactly. So she don't have to. I'm like the one you said it. She's
So
a
you
grown
sound
ass woman,
ex-
so she don't have to tell me nothing.
So you sound very traumatized because if you've made that colossal leap from laughing at 12 o'clock midnight to cheating, then who hurt you, baby? Who hurt you? Who hurt you?
No.
Yeah.
No, let's discuss that trauma. Who hurt you?
We could address trauma. Okay, so I think all trauma stems from your parents. That's the very beginning. That's the very first people who's ever hurt you in your life. Mother, father. So if you have no father in your life, then you're going to have some trust issues. You're going to be looking for a man.
I have a father in my
Okay,
life.
well,
Let's just nip that in the bud right now.
so when I have these conversations with women, and they tell me about their trust issues, or they tell me about certain things that they have problems with, I'm affected by the same things that anybody else is affected by. I'm looking for a woman similar to my mother, right? Or maybe I'm looking for a woman total opposite of my mother, which maybe I have an underlying hatred for my mother.
But you know what? I can't agree. I can agree, but I have to disagree also, because it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a hatred. It's just some things, like everybody have things about people they like and they dislike. So you might see qualities in your mother that you love. And then
I
there's
agree.
certain qualities that you don't like, but that don't mean that you hate her. It's just that certain things you might not accept.
Who's
from
the
her.
first person you've ever loved in your life?
See, I think it's not hate.
I mean, of course, it's going to be your parents.
would
and
be-
as a,
It's probably resentment. A lot of
Maybe I use a lot of strong words for the
it's
effect.
resentment.
So you can just
I don't do effects. Me, what you say, and say what you see.
and I say things for effect, so everybody be like, "Oh, you ain't no good," or
There's
But
a difference. I love my parents. I love my son. But if you're my husband, it's a different
Type of love, of course.
I'm not going to love my parents the
no,
way
I'm
I
not
love
disagreeing
you.
with you, but every one of us have a mental disorder, right? The mental disorder would be this. What I'm discussing would be the Oedipus complex. You understand? You're
Yes.
looking for Oedipus wanted to secretly have sex with his mother and kill his father. His father was in the way.
That's what they. That's what
So
they
I'm
say.
feeling like
they say.
I feel like everybody. So now, if say a black man yearns for a Spanish woman, something about his mother he don't like, because if your mother is your first love, you would be looking for someone just like her. And most people that I meet, they look for black women, or they date women who have a lot of similarities like their mother because they love their mother so much. And women look for men similar to their father.
Yeah,
So if you have trust issues, it stems from your father. Your father didn't pick you up when he was supposed to pick you up.
See,
your mother and father don't live together. Your mother sleep in a different room. Those trust issues started with your father. It wasn't the before relationship.
I can only speak for me because I know my personal history or anything like that. And everybody, for me now, everybody is like, I judge you according. You understand what I'm saying? But from the past, of course, like I said, you take a little bit of that residual stuff with you. And from my past relationships, there was a lot of lying, there was a lot of cheating, and so
But they're also affected. They're also affected from them growing up.
And
also,
of course, but for me to say that my trust issues will come from growing up, whatever issues I have with my father, I can't necessarily say that I agree with that 100%.
I mean, if you could give me some examples where it doesn't affect majority of the population,
But I'm not speaking on population. I'm speaking on Tony.
But that's how I judge things. I judge on average. I judge things on.
But you can't always do that.
We talking about you. So
But that's how I do me.
But we gonna change that. That's the whole goal. Is so that you just center it within you. And that's where your focus is. Don't put it outward to everybody else. Turn it inward and take a look at yourself.
Okay, I don't know if I could actually do that.
Well, you won't learn. It takes practice. You know what I mean?
But
It's a lot of work.
I need something to show me where that works.
What do you mean? I
To
don't
go inward in me. Like, if I know don't go this way, I'm not going to go that way. I know that I'm not looking for a whore. There's a reason why I'm not looking for a whore. It might be I'm looking for somebody who I conceive as a good woman. Am I looking inward for myself?
Well, you go for with instincts and intuition and what your spirit tells you. So there has to be something within you that connects to someone else's, which is
That's my upbringing. That's what connected me to who. Let's say, all right, my wife. Right? I met my wife 20 years ago. When I met my wife, my uncle was my father figure in my life.
Mm-hmm.
He had a girlfriend from Queens, and she was very Hasidity, like she worked in a bank.
Mm-hmm.
She was very uppity. So when I met my wife in the military, she just so happened to be from Queens, and my wife is very uppity. Mm-hmm. That was the woman for me. So that's how I ended up dealing with the person I'm dealing with. Because I was looking and subconsciously, I'm looking for that, not consciously.
Because that was what your model.
That was my model in my head. So I'm looking for something that I didn't even know I was looking for.
Okay.
That's subconsciously.
Okay.
So it was inward.
Okay.
It was inside, but I didn't know that I was looking for that.
Okay. That works. That works. Okay. That's
so
exactly what I mean. No, you absolutely did. You absolutely did.
Why are you looking at me?
Because I feel like you don't agree.
I don't. But that's your truth that you're walking in. I can't sit there and say, well, you're wrong. That's your truth.
Are you an attacker?
No, I am not.
I'm just asking.
Absolutely not.
Not the way you said it. No, I am not. That's an attack move.
Why is it an attack move? Why?
Listen to it. I wish we had video. You could be like, no, I am not. We can't do that. That's not very nice.
Why is it not?
Because I feel like you're ready to attack.
But that's your personal feeling.
Yes, because I read people. That's what I get paid.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Trust me, it's not attack. If it was attack mode, you would know.
Oh, see, that's part of the time.
Well, and what you said kind of leads me to my next question about self-awareness is, can you identify the difference between what you've been socially conditioned to want versus what you actually want intimately? Because a lot of us are out here searching for things that we believe that society tells us that we should want, whether it be based on education, aesthetics, and all kinds of superficial things.
I agree.
Versus what we really want intimately. So we get involved in some of these relationships, and then there's no real connection, and the only thing that you have keeping you together is pretty much nothing, and people aren't happy and they're miserable in these relationships.
But I don't think you should be in love when you first get with each other. I feel like you should grow to be in love. I feel like.
How do we get to in love though?
Because she said intimacy.
When I first meet you, I'm not in love. I don't.
Men are different. And when I look at a woman, I'm attracted to her by looks, lust.
Exactly.
Right.
But it's never
women.
in love.
Women are attracted to men by if we're smart enough. Or if we're able to provide.
That's not always true.
If we're able to provide and if we're able to protect.
First thing, I don't.
No, I think that's second. For me,
would you date a dumb man?
How am I supposed to know he's dumb if I just met him?
I'm lusting for you. You looking good in the club. I walk up to you, sound like a dummy, right? And then I peel out. Or if I sound like a dummy, you're gonna say this conversation's over. I look great, but you're not gonna go nowhere.
But I'm not in love with you.
No,
but
I said
I
don't think that you should be in love.
Look,
I think that you should grow to be in love.
But that's what I'm saying.
Arranged marriages work way more than people in America who just get married.
I agree with that.
So then that tells you right away that arranged marriages, people who've never been in a relationship, they have not had sex yet. They had sex when they got married. Did you watch Coming to America?
No.
But see, I think the purpose of arranged marriage is completely, is because you're bringing people together to fulfill their divine purpose. So now it's like when the elders get together and then they sanction those type of relationships because they're bringing people together.
I'm in total agreement to that. My parents should be the ones picking my relationship. I shouldn't be 21 years old.
But that all depends on how.
I don't know what I'm doing.
That all depends on how connected to you your parents are, because there are some very disconnected parents who are not connected to their children, and they'll be picking and then especially when you especially here where, people are very, have slave mentality and all kinds of other issues that's as a result of living in America. So then they have their ego as well that they have to address. So they're picking their partners. They would be picking partners for their children in an ego-based kind of way because they're also going based on society. So I think that when you're more spirit-driven, your selection process is completely and totally different.
So men should be more spirit-driven, or both?
No,
entities?
both people should be spirit-driven.
I don't know if men can be spirit-driven because
They
men are
can
very.
be. That's not.
I'm not. Listen. I'm just saying. Listen. You're giving me a very small portion, and I never go for the minority. The minority is so small, I could care less. Minority never wins.
But the
majority of men are very lustful in their eyes.
Makes no
I don't look
sense.
for, but it does. Men look at women lustfully.
But who cares what the majority wants? Because
at the end of the day,
the majority of relationships are failing. So why would you want to go with failing?
No, I'm going with what I see, and men are very lustful with eyes.
I agree with that, but why would you want to continue to be that just because that is what the majority is? Everybody jump off a bridge. You want to jump off a bridge?
Mentally, that's what we look for.
In the beginning, listen, I can agree with this. In the beginning, and for men and women, when you meet an individual, when you first lay eyes on a person, it's always going to be the attraction factor. You're not going to look at a dude, or you're not going to look at a female. Wait. Spiritually going to come into play. Yes. But in the beginning, when you first meet a person, it's going to go off of surface-based things.
I can't say that because I've had. Well, I mean, that's generally how
it's going to be something that you like, even if he might not be the cutest, she might not be. It's going to be something, and it's going to be pretty much surface-based. Mm-hmm. Then when you get to know that individual, then everything else takes place, and then that's when your whole spiritual, your vibe, you feeling that person out, their spirit, their soul, and all of that stuff comes into play. And then you can decide for yourself, either you're going to go with the vibes that you're getting, or you're going to ignore that and just keep going because you're only operating on your surface-based thought. But yeah, men, women, everybody surface in the beginning, but then eventually that comes into play because it's no longer good enough. If you want more, that surface shit is no longer, and I'm sorry because I do have a potty mouth, but I curse. But that surface stuff, if you're looking for more, it's no longer good enough, and you need more to feed you than just that basic stuff.
But I think that the more conscious you become and the more aware you are of yourself, that is how you're going to attract people, is based on their vibe. So once you're open and allow yourself to be open, you're going to connect to other open spirits. I mean, if you're closed and you're guarded, then that's the process you're going to have to go through, where it's like, okay, you're meeting people based on aesthetics and everything else, and then let me sit down and have this conversation and blah, 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 blah. But once you're open, aware of yourself, that's already a filtering process, because you're not going to connect with just certain anybody, with just anybody and certain type of people.
Okay. From a man's point of view, right? I'm gonna say two things. Right? So you have, when I met my wife, something about her. I've had sex with many women, but something about her was special. So spiritually, she was special to me.
Well, can you articulate what that something is?
Okay. There are 3 types of love that I deal with.
Okay, before you get into that, first question is, did that something about her, did you discover that before or after you had sex?
It would always probably be after.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Sex is very powerful in relationships. Okay, so you have the first type of love. This first type of love is is your parents' love, right? They're the first ones to ever hurt you, whatever. First ones to ever love you, first ones to spank you, whatever. So if you're a woman and you're looking for a man, your father beat you a lot, you probably look for a man that's going to beat you a lot. Or a man totally opposite of that. Like, you're not going to tolerate no man put no hands on you because of what your father did. Okay. Second one would be the love of your life. So you meet a man and you love him more than he loves you. He could be a crackhead, step all over you, do foul stuff to you, cheat on you, do whatever. And you'll still stay with that man because he's the love of your life. Then you have the love of a lifetime. It's like this unicorn. Very rarely do you come across people that are soul mates. where the sex is going left, he go left, you go left. The sex go right, he go right. When y'all argue, it's over. You know him like he know you. When y'all sleep cuddled up, everything is about y'all. It's just people can see the glow. When you talk about him, people can see the glow.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So you believe in one soulmate?
I don't even know if I believe that men can be monogamous.
That's not what
But
I
why?
asked
But
you.
why do you feel it's
I
only
asked
men?
you, but
why do
what
you
I
only feel
asked
that it's
you was,
men?
do you believe in Do you believe in one soulmate?
I believe that. Yes, I do.
You do
okay.
know-
I'm gonna answer the question even better.
Okay.
You can only be in love with one person at a time.
Absolutely incorrect.
Okay.
Absolutely
That's not
incorrect.
correct.
Absolutely.
That's not correct.
Absolutely
Prove me
And
wrong.
also,
incorrect.
you
Wait,
do
let's
know.
go. Let's go. Prove me wrong first.
But let me just say this:
Sorry.
you do know that soulmates are not always only intimate partners.
No, I agree.
And you do run across many soulmates within your lifetime. And just because, okay, say if you're my soulmate, this is it. I found everything. No. We might not be for each other. It might be things that you need to teach me. That's why you're in my life.
Yes,
and you're my soulmate for those reasons, but that does not mean that we are meant to be together. I might have somebody else say him right there. That might be the one that's for me and that's my soulmate. But you don't have
So then
one
the other
soulmate.
person wasn't a soulmate then.
Yeah, that
I believe that you have two different types of soulmates. You have the SOUL mate, which is the person who you connect to on that spiritual level, who's there, who's going to teach you things, and it's very powerful on a spiritual level. Then there's also the SOLE mate, which is the person who you make that commitment to, whether it be, your husband, your wife, and you commit to having this life and building this life together. But they may or may not be your SOUL mate.
Okay.
So, and I believe that people are polyamorous. I don't believe that it's
Damn, you
only.
gave me some big ass words.
I don't
Damn.
believe that it's only men
smack.
who don't have the capacity. I believe monogamy is not a natural thing. And I think that, monogamy is actually, is anti-evolutionary. So it weakens the species and it was a social construct just to,
Yes.
to benefit males, the lower ranking males of the species, so that they can also have the same opportunity to breed as alpha males. So it doesn't benefit women.
Wait, monogamy only benefit the males?
Yes, it don't, because it
You
gives.
should be able to only have one woman?
No. What I'm saying is monogamy is a social construct, because women are going to look for the alpha male so that her offspring can be the best offspring. So even if she has to share men, she wouldn't mind doing that if the alpha males is limited. You understand what I'm saying? So now monogamy is created to give the lower ranking males the same opportunity to breed as alpha males.
Do you
So
find me to be a lower ranking man?
well,
I'm just curious. You need to take a drink when you look at me. This is kind of bad. I'm bad on the eyes. I think I got a beautiful beard. Like, I'm chocolate. Like, I can copy. Go ahead. Finish.
and that's what
You
it
didn't
is.
say you're not going to answer the question. Interesting.
Okay. I wouldn't know if you're a lower ranking. I wouldn't know that.
I'm short. I mean, I guess that would be my
But
only
you know what? I prefer short guys. I don't like tall guys because I'm short as well. And because I'm an intimacy junkie, I like my men at eye level so that
So you can tell if they're lying?
No, so that we can look, because it's in
the eyes.
Thank
You
you.
have to be able to.
Oh my God.
And that's a lot of problems that we do have, even just in intimate relationships. There's not a lot of this. There's that you can't really connect with somebody if you're not looking them in their eyes, talking to them.
Yes.
And now it's more of this.
Yeah. That's a huge
exactly.
problem.
The cell phones and everything
I
else
agree
like
with
that.
cell phones.
And everybody, is so disconnected. There's so many distractions going on, and people are losing that connection. So it's about.
But how do
getting
you
us
get back that connection?
You have to want to be connected. Everybody's out here.
Work at it, yeah.
So,
Because everybody,
but
I
one
think.
person can't work on it. So if you might have a relationship and one person's not working on, you can't be if you're not in the ring together, then you can't fight together. So if one person is out the ring and saying I'm doing me or doing whatever, then you can't work on that.
That's how side pieces come into play.
Again.
I mean, that's real.
But
You know what I mean?
but
That's what our
But
grandparents did.
that's lust. And very rarely will a man
That's
go outside,
absolute.
a man, to look for a side piece just to have good conversation with.
That's absolutely incorrect.
Who looks for a man?
I
You said
think
absolutely incorrect. A man?
No, what I'm saying to you is maybe now culturally, because things have gotten shifted, where you have people who they don't follow the old traditions. I think back in the days, because people seem to really think that their grandparents were monogamous, and
No,
it
they
was,
cheated
too.
too.
And they had their long
They just stayed
extended time.
together because that's the way things were.
They were
in that
cheating
time.
in the community.
Right, and maintaining multiple families and stuff like that. And people, they had outside with people who they actually cared, respected, and this is why they maintained, because these were people they loved and cared about, and they took care of. Now people have jump offs. Jump offs. What is that?
You go too far. You forgot to answer one question, because you was gonna answer two.
Oh, sorry.
You can be in love with multiple people at the same time. In
Yeah.
love. Explain this to me.
Yes, because you have the ability to connect to multiple spirits. Once you're open to receive those connections, you're going to connect to multiple people.
Okay.
I
You can-
disagree with that.
yeah.
I can't be in love with multiple.
Not in love. You have to look at
And love and love is two different things.
In love and love is too. You can love your children. You can love your parents. You can love multiple people. But you can only be in love with one person at a time. If you're cheating, you have a side chick, you are in lust.
I disagree. Why do you feel that you can only be in love with?
Because
one
I've never
person?
seen it done before. I've never seen
So
any.
just because
Can you be
you've
in love?
never
Because
seen
you've never seen it done before, it's not possible.
done.
Correct.
But what? But no, but
I'm
Listen.
the subject matter expert at these
My
things.
AD will
I
not
don't
allow
agree,
me
but
to
okay.
be in love.
So you ever been in love with multiple men before?
Well, if you want to talk about love,
In love. I see you're going to
Wait, I'm about to know. I'm not about to change it.
Okay,
If you
go
stop talking for me, then
I'm
maybe I
not.
can answer your question.
Copy.
All right now. So
Mad aggressive.
I gotta be, because you're aggressive as well.
I'm a man. I should be.
Well, I'm aggressive too. So
But you're not a man.
I don't want to be a man.
but
then why would
everybody
you be
has
aggressive?
both masculine and feminine energy. So
Exactly.
maybe she has to play up her masculine energy just to balance you and counteract
I don't
you.
even know how to have feminine energy.
You don't
You-
have to
other
have
than-
feminine
you-
energy.
you-
but
other
you don't
than-
always
other
have to
than
be aggressive
sex.
at
You
all
have it.
times.
You just
Other
don't know
than
how to
sex,
balance
that's
it.
the only time when my feminine energy.
Just because you're aggressive, that does not mean that you'll get your point across. Just know that.
No, the truth. You're right.
Okay. So, answering your question, I have not been in love with multiple people because I really have not been in love like that in my lifetime. I have loved, yes, I have loved, but in love, that's something totally different, and I know I have not.
So why would you say I'm wrong then?
Because I just said that I haven't been in love a lot. So
So then you
I
can only
can't-
answer from your point of view. You've never been in love with multiple people. So answer the question on your point of view. No.
But
No, what she's saying, just because she said she hasn't experienced
I
it doesn't
thought we
mean
was
she
talking
doesn't.
about our experiences.
but see,
I told you how
okay,
I
so
generalize.
that
But
means
that
you have
doesn't
to
mean she
rear back
doesn't
because
believe
you're
that-
talking about, okay, well, this group of people, and then you're not talking from your.
But that doesn't mean she
personal-
doesn't believe that it doesn't exist. Just because she hasn't experienced it personally, she can
You
still
ever been in love
believe.
with two people at the same time?
No, yeah, you know.
I think that you was in love with one guy and lusted for another. Lust and love is two different things.
Lust is sexual.
Yes.
No, I'm not sexually driven. That's not
No,
what
I didn't
drives
say that.
me.
I didn't say that.
No.
I didn't say that's what drives you. I said that you were in love with one. I'm in love with one, and I am capable of lusting for another.
And I'm telling you, that is incorrect.
Okay, so you've been in love with multiple men at the same time.
Yes.
In what way?
What do you mean, in what way?
Sexually?
What does love have to do with sex?
In love. You make love. You do things. You're in love with one person. That person is
What does
special
that have
to
to
you.
do with sex, though?
I mean, yeah,
that have to do with sex?
This is very strong for men. That's
But
almost.
but I'm asking you what you saying for men, but the question is, what does that have to do with sex? We're talking about love.
No, we're talking about in love.
Okay,
So
in
what-
love,
what does that
love,
have to
but
do
what
with
does that have
sex?
to do with sex? Sex is within love.
Sex is part of being in love.
no,
it's not.
No, absolutely
Oh.
I
not.
can lust you and have sex with you. That don't mean I'm in love with you.
Would you ever? You would be in love with somebody if you never had sex with them before?
Absolutely.
Who
Absolutely.
does this?
What are you
Who
talking
lives
about?
like this? I've never seen any dude that go, yo man, I ain't made love to her yet, but I'm in love with her. I ain't never met no man
Because they won't admit it.
like that. Men go around and be in love with women and never had sex with
Absolutely.
them.
Yep. and they can be in love with a woman, and sometimes they, like, you could have a sexual relationship with a person that you're in love with, and because it's so distracting and so intense, then you can then agree to discontinue the sex, so that this way that you can build on the love and enhance that.
No.
I've met multiple men like that. I've met
Where's these guys
I've
at
met
downtown
multiple
Brooklyn?
men like
Are they in
that.
Flatbush? What is?
Yes. I've met.
This sounds more like infatuation.
No, it's not infatuation. It's because you're spiritually connected to them,
But I
and
don't
the
believe-
friendship and the relationship is built on stuff that is more significant than sex, and you sacrifice the sex to maintain the greater purpose of the
What
relationship.
man sacrifices sex?
There are plenty of men that sacrifice sex. There are plenty of men that do that. I've had multiple men in my life who've sacrificed sex.
That's because you told him you wasn't giving them none.
No,
They're waiting.
that's not true. That's not true. That's
And so,
absolutely
so
not
if
true.
you offered, they wouldn't take it.
But I wouldn't offer.
That's not.
But I
Why
wouldn't
you don't
offer.
an- Why
But
nobody don't answer the question?
His point is, if you offered, they would do it.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
That's
They would
like
decline.
in
They
case
would
of-
decline.
In case of emergency, break glass.
No, it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that.
Are they gay?
No, they're not gay. They're just not sexually driven.
How could a man not be sexually driven?
Because there are some
we
men
make
who
seed
elevate,
all day long.
who transcend beyond the sex. That's just
What religion are these guys? Like, where are these guys at?
Well, most of them, they're conscious. They've studied different schools of thought, whether it be Rasta, Nations of the Gods, or Muslim, and
Bob
things
Marley
like that.
got mad kids. And Bob Marley was a womanizer.
But that has nothing to do
So was
with
Nelson Mandela.
That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm not.
You
I
said
didn't have,
Rasta.
but I
With
didn't
the
have.
Rasta.
But I didn't have sex with Bob Marley.
No. You said a Rasta. Like, I thought Bob Marley was one of the.
but
Bob
you
Marley's one of the
asked-
most
you-
conscious men that
but
I've
you
ever
asked-
heard
but
in my
you
life.
asked
I look
about that.
up to this guy. Like, this guy is the man.
Mm-hmm.
Him, Muhammad Ali, certain men, and each one of them was all womanizers.
Okay, but what does that have to
I've
do with
yet
my
to-
experience?
No, I'm cool with it. But I've yet to meet any dude that can sit down. I would love to meet a guy that can sit me down and go, yo, you have to be more like conscious about the woman. Them, you have to talk to them and just easy with them and just more conversation, smoke weed and just chill.
So
no,
you've
I can't
never,
do that.
So
I
you've
want to have sex.
never. So you've never done that. So you've never just sit down and reason with a gal and y'all sit down and talk for hours and hours and sex never come into play.
I sat down and talked for hours and hours waiting for her to take the clothes off.
I could say I've done it, but it was nobody that I was attracted to. Like,
Yeah.
I have.
How could you be attracted to a man and not want sex? Or how can a man be attracted to a woman and not want sex?
Because the initial attraction because they're sapiosexual. There are people who attraction is based on the mentals and their mind.
And
so
that's
you
what turns into the sexual.
no, it doesn't have
If
to.
you-
We're not
It
built
doesn't-
like that.
In my mind, then there's something like, oh yeah, okay.
But if the sex sometimes causes confusion and it gets distracting because
It can.
because you have this real powerful connection, and sometimes there's other things that may be coming into play. People, like I said, people get distracted and they got things that they need to do. So then you'll discontinue the sex, maintain the other levels of connection. So you can be sexually attracted to somebody, but then make the conscious
But why would
decision.
people discontinue sex? It can only discontinue sex if there's something wrong. Like maybe he belongs to someone,
But didn't I
and
just
you
explain
belong
that?
to someone too.
Didn't I just explain it to you? I said it could be distracting.
Right, but why would sex ever be distracting? If sex is that powerful, I can't just look at you and the sex is that powerful and intense, and I'll be like, yo, maybe we shouldn't.
Really?
How can I do that? It's that powerful.
Because it's distracting. And if you have,
To what? What is that distracting? Like, I ain't going to work.
well, if that's what it is, you know what I mean? Or you're trying to focus, and because it causes so much,
If I miss work for
Issue.
sex, it's really worth it for me to keep continuing.
but it could be an emotional things, because sometimes, like for men, and in my experience with the men who I've had these issues with, it became an emotional distraction. And if they're not used to dealing with the combination of emotions, sex, spirituality, they're going to have to retreat and regroup.
Are you submissive?
I can be. Yes, absolutely.
I feel like you're very strong.
But then how does that relate to being in love?
I don't know. He asked the question. I don't know how that. I don't even know how that got into it. Me being submissive. I don't know what that is.
No, not the submissive part, but the not having sex and what you were saying. How does that relate to being in love? Like.
Because he tried to
You're my
connect
homie.
love and sex together,
Right,
and
we're
I'm
just
just
friends.
Yeah, you're my homie.
And honestly,
You're my. Then you've gone.
But you
from,
could be in love with your homie.
I love my homie. I'm not
in love with the homie.
Why you can't be in love with your homie?
I've never met somebody that's in love with two people at the same time.
Why you can't be in love with your homie? Why you can't be in love with your homie?
All right, tell me. Let me get this straight. I want to make sure I'm getting this absolutely right. I have a best friend. You think I'm in love with my dude friend? I never heard a man go, I'm in love with him.
But no,
A man to another man. Say, yo, I'm in love with that
I'm
guy.
not saying that
You know
because
how crazy that
I'm not
sounds?
saying that because they're your best friends automatically means you're going to be in love with them. I'm saying that just because you and this person are friends doesn't rule out the fact that you can be in love with them.
End sentences for me. We are that close, and I've never been in love with him.
Okay, but that's you. You understand? But
I
that's,
don't
that's
know
you.
no man that if a man told me another man like, yo, I'm in love with my man.
No, wait.
That sounds crazy to me.
But how did we even get there?
She's not saying
No,
that.
no, she is saying that.
No,
she's
she's
saying
not.
that you can
You
build to that
automatic-
level.
But
you can build to that level
automatically
with
said
an
it was
individual.
a man. She never said it was a man or a woman. She
But you
just
can
said
build to a
friend.
spiritual level like that. Period. You can build to an in love spiritual level.
I didn't say
how is
that it's
that possible?
But I didn't say that it was automatic and it happens with everybody that you have. I said it's possible. You can have a friend and a homie that you're in love. It could be you could have a friend that you grew up from childhood together. It could be an opposite sex friend. We're not, saying anything other than that.
Right.
And you realize, wait a minute, I'm in love with this person.
I want to have sex with him.
No.
I don't understand. I'm in love with this person, but then I go marry somebody else and be with somebody else that I'm not in love with.
But what people marry people they're not
But
in
if
love
I
with
was
every single day.
But I agree. But
Yes,
if I
they
have
do.
the opportunity to be
Maybe
with this
you don't
person,
have the opportunity. Maybe there are things that are in the way. Maybe the timing is not
That's
right. A lot of the time,
Exactly.
timing is not right.
so I'm in love
Exactly.
with someone else, and I decide to be with somebody else. But I'm in love with her.
Yes, that
if I could
happens every
choose,
day.
if I could choose between the two, I would dump you and be with her.
But sometimes
that means that
things-
I could only be in love with one person at a time.
No, it
Listen,
doesn't mean that
sometimes
you can
things
only
does not
be-
work out that way. Sometimes everything is not just black and white, and it's not just simple to say, okay,
It's complicated.
well, things come into play.
It's
A lot of times,
complicated.
there's thousands and thousands of people that are in love with people that they are not with. There are thousands and thousands of people that are in relationships that are married with people that 9 times out of 10 that relationship will not last.
And if I could be with the other person,
But maybe
I
you
would.
can't. But maybe you can't
he's still
be
only in
with
love
that
with
But I'm
person.
still only
But-
in love with one person. You keep saying the same thing. I am in love with her, but I ended with you.
That's not
And
what
if I was able to leave you, I would be with her.
But
I
that's-
mean, I'm not in love with you.
That's not see, you're missing the whole point of it all.
There's
Filtering
another
out-
point?
You're filtering out every single thing that her and I is saying and just automatically going over what you hear. But you know what?
I apologize.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I could be a bit much. I apologize. I'm very passionate.
No, but it's okay. Passion is good.
I
Passion is good.
don't like my women to be passionate, but I'm very passionate.
But why? Why?
That's a
Because-
problem.
Why you don't like it when?
I like to be.
You like to be domineering and you want her to be submissive all the time.
Yes, my women.
And so you never give ever.
No,
That's a
no,
problem.
I didn't say no. Wait. In order for my woman to be submissive, that means I'm doing everything for her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe women should work. I should be the one to provide for everything.
Mm-hmm.
She should be home with the kids, and I should be outside working. I have a problem with women at work because women socially become more like men. They go to the bar just as much as men are going. They're having one-night stands just as much as men are doing. It's a lot. Women are behaving like men.
So, again,
More drinks?
what does that? So why can't your women be passionate? If you're passionate and you're allowed to be passionate and she's accepting of that, why can't she be
We
passionate?
both can't be walking into the room as Diddy. I'm Diddy, and she got to be
But
somebody.
what does passion have to do with being submissive and dominant? What one has nothing to do.
No. I'm just saying, I don't want her to be as passionate and as strong about things as I am. Because if she's
So you just want your woman pretty and dumb.
Yeah, she wants. Yes, with closed mouths.
Yes.
But you know what? I consider
Any thoughts that she has, I want to put it there.
But you know what? There's nothing wrong with submission, because you know what? I'd rather play up my feminine energy than my masculine energy. But sometimes circumstances forces me to have to play up my masculine.
I don't want you to get anything misconstrued. Women are way stronger and way smarter than any man. I want you to know that. But my ego will not allow me to have that.
But that's the whole point. We need to relax that and relinquish
Men
that ego.
egos are very strong, and we
You're
have
right.
to have it.
You
can't go around.
You don't
if
have
told
to
a man,
have it.
If you told a man his
You
penis
just
was
cling
small,
to it.
he would
You
be
cling
hurt
to
forever.
it.
But you know,
You cling to it's
You
a
can't
safety
go around
blanket.
telling me. I can't go around and say, "Listen, you got an ugly vagina," and you be like, "So what?"
But why would
If
you?
told a
But
man
why
his
would you
penis
do
was
that?
small,
But
he'd
why
be
would
hurt.
you do
probably never
that?
wanna have sex
But
with
why
you.
would you do that?
What?
What's
The truth.
What-
You
what-
remember we talked about that earlier?
what-
People like the truth. If you got an ugly vagina, hey babe, your vagina's ugly.
But what would be the point in telling someone
The
that?
truth. You said you like the truth earlier, right? You said the truth to set you free.
But yes, you could tell the truth, but there has to be a reason. There has to be.
We were talking. You said how my vagina look. I said it's ugly. You said how my butt look in this dress. I said your butt look flat. I'm not doing that. I'm going to lie to my wife. I'm going to say, listen, your butt looks great. Your breasts are mad big. That nasty pimple that you got right here. Rock that.
Out in the street looking crazy.
Hey, listen. But I gave her mad energy to go out in them streets. Because if I didn't tell her to go out, yo, you look good, she'd have stayed in the house. Nah, go out there, be you. Go be great.
With the flat booty.
If I had a herpes blister on my lip, don't go around and tell me it's a herpes. Tell me it's a coleslaw.
But why would you? But see, then that would develop trust issues, because now we're lying to people.
I told you, lying is where it's at.
No, absolutely not.
The truth.
Yeah, tell me. But you know what? I understand, because some people aren't prepared to handle the truth, and even though they say they want the truth, they're not prepared. So I think in those cases, those people shouldn't ask questions.
Majority
you know what I mean? But that's where emotional intelligence comes into play. You're supposed to be able to have that stuff together, so that this way you're maturity. And that's like, I have a big issue with people who are very immature. It's just like, you know what, at a certain age, you
What
have
age is that?
Well, I'm 44, so like there's certain things I just don't like. I have no patience.
I think
I have to do a patience.
I think men are very. I think a man and a woman can meet each other, and the man, if you're both 20, we're both 21. Facts is that you're 5 years more mature than I am anyway.
Yeah.
So you probably should deal with a man that's 10 years your senior. So you at 44 would probably be better off dealing with a man at 54 years old.
I mean, I like the old man,
All right, so then you're a cougar. So you like young boys.
No,
So
my hubby is the same age. Well, 1 year older than I am.
and you're more mature than he is.
Well, I'm more mature than most people, but
See? All right. So that's
I'm like
crazy.
a little old lady, but
Intellectually, he's not on your level, right?
wait, how do we get to intellect from maturity? How do we get
Maturity
to that?
plays a role in intellect. Everything, you have the IQ, you have EQ, and IQ, EQ, and there's one more. But just dealing with IQ and EQ, you're smart, and you have to be emotionally good. Like, you can't just be dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not gonna deal with a dumb man, are you?
No.
All right. So
because you have to be able to hold I get bored. I need a lot of stimulation, and if you cannot hold,
so you have to deal with a smart man.
yeah, I have to. So we have to have something to talk about, because, like I said, I'm not sexually not like I used to be, because the 20s and the late. Anyway, but so now I'm like, yeah, you was there.
That's interesting. I've been trying to figure that out about women.
But now it's like, I don't need that. You know what I mean? So
I feel
now
like
you gotta be able to have a conversation. You know what I mean,
Women-
about real stuff.
No, I agree. But see, when let's say we're together, right? You come home from work, babe, I want to tell you about my day. I want to hear about your damn day. I want to have sex. Right? You get tight. So, listen, I want to, we need to talk. You understand? But in order for me to get the good sex that I want, we have to talk first.
You would bore me. I said, really? You would bore me.
Me?
Yeah, you would bore me.
I think I'm mad interesting to talk to.
You would bore me.
You think I would bore you too? Yo, maybe because I'm not a good-looking guy. Maybe I'm hard on the eyes. You think I'm hard on the eyes? Because you've been giving me this face all day.
But you know, and you're also an attention whore because it's like you're fishing. You know, you're fishing for. You know, you're emotionally high maintenance, and I'm an INTJ personality type, and I don't do emotions and all of that.
Stroke your ego all the time.
You know, I mean, I can stroke it because I understand that skill is necessary. Yeah,
need
that emotional high maintenance stuff. Nah, chill. I don't do that.
No.
Yes, I am.
I don't do that. Nah.
I'm very confident in who I am.
You too high maintenance emotionally.
No, because you need to be stroked all the time. Your ego needs to be so that
when nobody else is stroking it, I stroke it.
You would be emotionally draining. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
It's possible.
No, it is. It is so. It is so. Just sit right here.
So y'all just gonna attack me?
No,
y'all just gonna attack me together?
But
you did mention about truth,
down,
right? So
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna look in the mirror. I'll build myself back up. I don't need y'all to tear me down. You think you're gonna tear me down here, and then when I get home, I'm gonna feel like a foot? No, I'm gonna build myself back up. Yeah, keep on.
Jen, join the conversation. Yeah, join the conversation.
What's your goals? Where you want to be? I'm like, look, 2 years, I'm leaving my condo, I'm buying a house. Where you at? I'm not trying to go through, I can save you, and I'm not trying to save nobody. I don't have the time or the patience.
Wow. I mean, I don't know, but for me, that stuff is completely and totally irrelevant because it's like, to me, that's too much of, ego-based and society and what society tells you should get a guy with. As long as we could build together and we have the capacity and in your, that.
I'm not here to stroke anybody's ego. So if you're not on my level and you're not where I'm at, then you serve no purpose and we don't even have to talk.
But she feels the same way. She feels the same way.
Yeah, but exactly. But the purpose that I'm looking for is more of a spiritual purpose, and and that level of connection. I don't need anybody as far as financially and stuff because I can do that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
on my own, without a man, I'm like.
So that stuff don't even register on my radar about like what you. I mean, we could talk about it. You know what I mean? Because as a topic of a conversation, like where you are financially and things like that. You know what I mean? Because I love to talk about money. Because that shows if you can have a conversation about money and things like that, I can appreciate that because there's a lot of people who will steer away from those financial conversations and think that stuff is taboo and don't want to discuss it. And it's like,
so
why?
you give a homeless man a shot.
But homeless, it depends on if we have something in common, you know what I mean? And if we connected and, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm walking down the street and, there's something that like, wow, that energy just,
I can take him home and clean him up.
Yeah, women do it all the time. You know what I mean? We spit shine Negroes all the time. We spit shine a Negro, okay? So.
That's terrible.
Yeah, we grade y'all on a curve. Y'all just don't know it, okay?
Well, I must ain't got no grade the way y'all was curving me.
Well, it be that way sometimes, so, but you should be grateful. I mean, most men should be grateful because if all women were as strict as we should be, most of y'all would not make the grade at all.
At all.
Okay?
We make a lot of allowances. Yes,
exactly. Exactly.
I ain't most men, so I'm definitely in the top %.
Says you, right?
I'm stroking my own ego.
No, that's what you need to do. Then you do that.
You're not in the top of it.
Ooh, that hurt.
Well, you want the truth, right? You got.
That don't bother me. I've been short.
But like I said, I prefer short.
I got little man complex, so don't even.
I don't know about the beard thing. I'm not really into the beard stuff. You know what I mean?
Soft. You want to touch it? It's nice.
No, that's all right. Because like when you're down, well,
Oh,
it's just like all that. It's scratch. Nah.
Wow, that sounds crazy.
Not chill. You know what I mean? If I don't have hair down there, I don't need your face to put hair down.
Men should have beards.
Nah, I like.
That's an American thing. Yes, everywhere else in the world, men grow beards. Every other continent where black men reside grow beards.
Okay. And
That's an American thing.
but no, it's a me thing. I don't want.
If you lived in Saudi Arabia, them dudes would have
No,
beards
I
and you'd be attracted to
I
dudes with
don't
beards.
need you to exfoliate my inner thigh. Sorry, I don't need that.
Okay. That sounds crazy. Exfoliate your. Well, how do we get back to sex?
I don't know, because that was not supposed to be where this conversation leads. It's supposed to be a different kind of conversation, but I don't know. Well,
Things happen.
yeah, you know what I mean? It's whatever, how the conversation leads organically. So this is where we at. This is where we at.
It's a
So,
great conversation.
yeah, I totally agree.
Except for her, she just be screwing her face up. The worst guy she ever met.
No, you're not. Trust me.
Oh, but I'm in the top 10, right?
Nah, your energy is very familiar.
Oh, so that sounds like you're mediocre. That's what that sounds. That sounds
She just
mediocre.
gonna tear me down. There'll be 4 women tomorrow to build me back up. I promise you.
You know, but there's always some low-bearing fruit that do that. But
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
always.
I told
And
you.
God bless them. You know what I mean? God bless them.
You think I want a strong woman? Heck no. I want a dummy to build me up.
Hey, Jen, join the conversation.
I'm super late, and I'm also the baby in the group, just so y'all know. I'm
Okay.
28. So, I love beards, so I don't support that. Like, but again, if you don't have a beard, I actually don't want you. So,
Oh, so you find me super attractive.
shout out. Sorry.
Don't need you guys. Can you move over?
Well, hey, there's somebody for everybody.
Okay. I think I'm for everybody, so.
You know, but that's good though. You
Yeah, she
get
just
points
gonna-
for confidence.
She's just gonna keep patting me. It's almost worse than somebody kiss you on the forehead.
What do you wait? The forehead kiss is amazing. Oh my God, the third eye kiss is amazing.
For who? The woman?
Yeah.
Not for no man.
Why?
I got something for
That's
you
like
kids.
son in them.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I love a third eye kiss. I love that.
It depends on where your masculinity lies. Like, if I get that you like to have a lot of show. So, but there has to be layers to that. There are times where you would be vulnerable and soft.
Yes, during sex.
I'm sure. Is that the only time?
Yes.
That's pretty sad.
Wait.
Thank you for yes.
You can't have intimate and like
No.
and vulnerable moments with your woman, then that's a problem.
No. I'm willing to do that.
What are you building?
No, I'm willing to do that. I'm positive. Let me say it again. Yes, but I'm vulnerable with the person that I'm having sex with.
In
But
that
not
moment.
only when you're having sex or outside.
I'm more vulnerable to a higher extent when I'm sexual. I'm more feminine. I'm more female-like sexual.
So your wife.
So
Most of
being
the time-
vulnerable ties into being
Most of the time,
feminine?
I'm very masculine throughout my day.
So
your
you
wife
can-
doesn't know.
So
like,
you
your
can't be
inner-
masculine and still be vulnerable. You tie that into being feminine.
So wait a minute. So wait.
My
So I
femininity-
want to know how this femininity
and
plays out
masculinity is
during
two
sex. I mean, because if she wants you to like grab a throat and get really aggressive,
Then I'm back to masculine. But if you're talking about making love, I don't grab my throat to like, yo, I love you.
So while
I don't
you're
do
making
that.
love, you got tears coming from your eyes, like
I could. Yes, I could. So I could, but I'm not going to do that. That's a bit much.
no, it's not. That's actually kind of sexy.
I could.
when you get that vulnerable and
I mean, I've done it before, but I'm not going to do that.
Don't get
It's not a
look.
regular thing that I just start busting out in tears. Who does that?
people that have the capacity
Regularly?
to
You just bust out in tears?
be, it depends. You could little eye water just kind of
I'm
dry
in.
out. It happens. Or they get that whole catatonic where they just on the bed and they just can't move. They're just still, and you just have to like, okay, wait, they come back here, because they're just completely gone, catatonic.
I'm with it. I'm very vulnerable.
So, do you share your inner thoughts and feelings with your wife?
She knows everything about me.
So then you've been vulnerable with her.
Yes, but I'm having sex with her.
During sex though.
No, this is in the bed. Like this is times when after sex, I want to talk. I want to let you know about me.
I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep. You know what I mean? It's just like, you want to talk after that?
Yes.
Babe, how was your day?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I want to talk.
Yo, you're doing too much, bro. You're doing too much.
I don't want to
You're
talk
doing
before
too
sex.
Okay, well, that wraps it up for this evening. You guys made this first show amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay, and I just want to thank, this whole entire thing, we say what they can't radio for giving me this opportunity to have my show. And we'll be back again.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was
you.
very interesting.
Except for me.
You alright. Wait, let me stroke your ego.
Yeah.
I'm not here for
you amazing. You were absolutely amazing in this show.
He's gonna go in the bathroom and go, I am amazing.
I-
am amazing.
No, when I get home,
I'm a strong black man. I am amazing.
I have a video of that in my phone. I am amazing.
Not surprised.
Woo. Well, you
Bless
rough.
your heart. Bless your heart.